Hi and welcome to PJ Maybe. Today is my 1 year anniversary on YouTube, and I thought I would do a wee bit of uh, what happened, what I started with, how I got here, and what I plan to do in the future. Due to lockdown, we all got bored, so to alleviate my boredom, what did I do? I signed into YouTube and set up a channel. Initially, my channel was going to deal with Magic the Gathering, but I found that I didn't know enough. I'm what they class as a jack of all fandoms, master of none. I can play them, I can watch them, I can understand them, and I've got a fan appreciation of them. But when it comes down to the details, not so much. Because I've got such a wide fandom of and interest in things, I decided that probably less diversion, diverting from what I originally set it down to. So there's still magic occasionally going to be shown on the channel, but it's going to be my stuff on it, not interpretation of the best thing to do, just things I enjoy about it. My main interest in the channel is to do reviews of all TV and movies, because out of all the stuff, I do like old stuff. New stuff I very rarely watch. So it's old classic TV shows and movies. A lot of people class them as crass because they were of their time. Me, I appreciate them for what they were. I don't take them too seriously because they are of their time. I've been a big Red Dwarf fan, big Doctor Who fan, Star Trek, Star Wars, Space 1999, Babylon 5. There's just such a wide variety of things I like. And if I like it, I watch it. It's as simple as that. If somebody tells me it's wrong to like it, then as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. It's what I like. Nobody can tell me what I need to like, and I can't tell anybody what they should like. You like what you like. Doesn't matter. If we all liked the same thing, there would be one programme on TV we would all watch. There would be no fan appreciation of anything because we all have different fandoms. Star Wars, for instance. I love the original three movies. The prequels and the sequels, don't care about. I've seen the prequels, I think a couple of them once, a couple of the sequels once, and truthfully couldn't tell you anything about them because I don't care enough. The original ones, I've got them in my collection and I watch them regularly. Star Trek, I love Star Trek the original series, the animated series, TNG, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Not as keen on Enterprise and have not watched any of the new stuff. Even the reboots of the movies. I think the first one I saw, the one that they did the time travel, I thought it was a clever prospect, but it didn't entertain me, so I haven't watched any of the other ones. And when it comes to what I've been watching, this week I've literally watched all 7 seasons of Voyager again, but I'll talk about that later on. I intend to do more classic stuff, things that I'm interested in, and it's my view of them. And I do appreciate not everybody likes old stuff. I know a lot of people, if it's black and white, they'll not touch it. Whereas me, Doctor Who, I just watch the classics. I don't watch any of the new stuff. I have watched it, and I did collect it, but what I found was that when it was on the TV, initially made sure I was in front of the box while it was on TV. Then I would get the DVD for my collection. And after a while, I realised that I didn't always watch it when it was broadcast. I would record it and maybe watch it a couple of days later. And all my DVDs were never opened. They were sitting on my shelf, unopened, because I had no interest in rewatching them. My classic DVD collection, I watched over and over again. I love William Hartnell. I love Patrick Troughton. Black and white, don't care. Some of the stories are missing. I've got ones with telesnaps, I've got the audios of it. However, I enjoy the story. I find the new stuff all flash and bang. It's a 10-minute story spread out over 30-40 minutes, and it's all special effects. Don't get me wrong, the special effects are phenomenal in a lot of them, but I don't care about that. I could watch some really old stuff that the special effects are bad. To me, I can watch something that interests me in the story. The story, the character development are what I look for in a TV show or a movie. So if we're looking at the old classics, Doctor Who for instance, my favourite one, although I'm a big Tom Baker fan, my favourite story of the classic era is War Games, Patrick Troughton. Black and white, long story, sometimes it meanders, but good character development. You got introduced to characters, they didn't just pop up, die and go away. The characters were introduced, you got to know them, you knew what they were about, and if they died, you felt something for them. Whereas some of the stuff nowadays, I find that characters pop up just to move the story forward and then they get discarded. So you'll see somebody will come up, they'll say something, and then they'll disappear. They only were there just to say something to put the story forward. They weren't part of the subplot, it just popped up. Same as somebody will pop up and die, and you don't feel anything for them because you didn't have any investment in them. So that's why I like old stuff. I class the Doctors I like are in effect the first 7, right up to Sylvester McCoy. However, I do class Paul McGann as part of the original classics. And the only reason I do that is because Sylvester McCoy appeared in the Paul McGann movie. The Paul McGann movie was not very good. Entertaining to an extent, but the half-human stuff and the Master, the Julia Roberts' brother, Master, was farcical, and I've watched it. I watch it on occasion, but it's not ever on my list. So the way I look at it is, I enjoy what I enjoy. People can tell me something, I'll have a look at it. If I like it, I'm happy. If I look at something and I don't like it, I'll tell them and I'll just not watch it again. I have got enough interest that new stuff doesn't bother me. I could watch all my DVDs and it could take me a year to watch them all. I don't need new stuff. And I constantly watch. There's something always on in the background in my man cave. So this week it's been all 7 seasons of Voyager, with interspersed, whatever the word is, don't know. But occasionally I'll watch maybe Oak Island, or I will watch YouTube channels in between. But if I've got something on my playlist, that's what it is. Like next week, I'm looking at the Sarah Jane Adventures, and I'm halfway through Batman 66, and I'll finish that off as well. And I'm also got a couple other things that I'm looking at. Babylon 5, I'm going to be looking at rewatching again, but I'm going to be slow watching that because it's Nerdrotic and Heelsphere's Babyface are rewatching it as part of the BBC, and I'm going to actually watch it along with them. And I apologise if I'm getting any errors on my stream, because it looks like I'm getting notification that there is issues. And hi Sharpnado, and thanks for joining us. I realise that I'm live, and I think I had it live prior to the time I'd stated. But I was working on stuff, so if you just saw my head popping around while I was doing stuff, I do apologise. I think it went live 15 minutes beforehand, but I can only apologise for that one. But I've not gone live for a long time, and the last time I was live I was using StreamYard, so this time I'm actually using the OBS client on YouTube Studio, so I've probably messed up with that, so I do apologise. But when I re-upload it, I will cut the junk out. Anyway, what I plan to do going forward, what I plan to do is do a bit more live streaming. I plan to maybe once a week just discuss what I've watched the week before. So, for instance, I have got Sarah Jane Adventures on my list. So maybe next Wednesday, I'm going to try and plan to do it every Wednesday. So next Wednesday, I'm going to actually look at what I watched the week before and discuss it. I may have guests on. It really depends. My channel, believe it or not, has grown quite considerably, but going from 10 subscribers to 23, and that's thank you to Daniel, the Scottish Davros, for giving me the boost, and I do appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you very much, and I look forward to being on your streaming Tuesday. Maybe we'll talk about Sarah Jane Adventures, maybe a bit of Batman, definitely Doctor Who, so fingers crossed, and I look forward to see you there. Anybody wants to go and actually subscribe to someone, Daniel on the Scottish Davros. He is a nice guy, and he's got some nice, interesting stuff to say about Doctor Who. Anyway, I plan to discuss what I've been watching over the weeks. So every Wednesday I plan to do maybe an hour live stream just to discuss what I've been talking about. And what I'm going to do today, to start it off, is talk about Voyager. As I've said before, I'm a jack of all fandoms and a master of none. So I don't bother about the writers, I don't bother about the actors' names. I usually get involved in the characters. And Voyager is just one of those programs that I don't know why I enjoy it, because I dislike most of the characters. It is my second, maybe third favourite Star Trek. Original series is my favourite. Voyager ties with the animated series, so it's usually second, third. After Voyager, it's Deep Space Nine, then The Next Generation. But for some reason, and I don't know why, I dislike most of the characters. But I love watching Voyager. Maybe because Voyager, unlike some of the other ones, put them into the Delta Quadrant to give it a more episodic view of Star Trek back to the original series. You look at the characters, the captain, Janeway. She's very narcissistic, very competent, very scientific, but there's just parts that annoy me about her. Like, for instance, the Tuvox one, quite happy to kill the mixed Tuvok and Neelix, so it was happy to kill that character to get her two friends separated and back, although the Tuvix character didn't want to die. She goes on too many away missions. I'll need to restart the streaming software, so let's have a look. OBS gave me an error there, so I do apologise if it sort of glitched out, so there must be a problem with my internet connection, and I'm hoping it's not to do with the work I'm getting done in the house. So, Voyager, sorry. Janeway, good character with just bad attitude. The way she dealt with Tuvix didn't like. The fact that she's always going on about how she's the one, the driving force to get people home, but she puts herself back out in front of all this danger. That's what the first officer's there for. That's what Chakotay's meant to be there for. So, although she's a very likeable character, she's got some unlikable characteristics, and I'm aware that they were written that way. However, the way I look at it is, you can write a character with flaws without making them unlikable, and she is definitely sits in that. She's, in all fairness, my three favourite characters are the Doctor, Janeway, and Torres. I like those three, but I don't know why I like Janeway, because she's narcissistic. She is quite happy to kill or whatever as long as it helps the people she likes. But she goes on about how you can't do this and you can't do that, but she's quite happy to do it because it affects her friends, her crew. Doesn't care about anybody else. As I said, the Tuvix one was, to me, very telling in that respect. Then you've got your Chakotay character. I just find his character bland, and I think giving him more roles as on away missions and such like would have been more interesting. The spiritual side I didn't really care about. The spirit walker, and I just had no interest in that character at all. It just, to me, anytime he was on, it was just bland. There was nothing exciting about the character at all. Although the Janeway character, I found her very narcissistic and could take her or leave her. Although I did really like her, she was always interesting, and that's the part I liked. She was interesting. And I like her because Mulgrew plays the part. Yes, Mulgrew's very good, but I think it's the character's written. I think it's written very well. So thanks, Sharky, Sudoku24, for that. I do agree. Mulgrew actually plays her quite well, but I don't know. I think it's the way it was written as well. And with Chakotay, I find him quite bland in the Scorpion two-parter. I don't know. It's maybe because I just got to the point where I found him bland. Don't get me wrong, there is none of the characters that I thought, if they weren't there, it would make it better. Characters even I didn't like, I thought fitted in. But I think the way he was written, I think most of the time, apart from the occasional times where, yes, you would have a laugh and a joke with them. The Scorpion one, I would need to remember what the Scorpion one. I do recognise the Scorpion two-parter. I'm just trying to actually remember what it was about. I could fire it up, but it's on my list at the moment. But anyway, I find Chakotay just quite bland. Whereas you have got B'Elanna Torres, quite fiery, quite angry, quite Klingon, and I just find her character really good. The parts I don't like about her is the love interest part with Tom Paris. No interest in that at all. Don't care. So the part with the drive, with the race, where they were all, I didn't care. I skipped past bits in all of them. So if I come across something I have no interest in, I'll skip past it. And I find that right across the board. The B'Elanna Torres character I really like. However, the love interest part, no interest. I would prefer she stuck with that. Scorpion and Scorpion's the one where he goes into the Borg territory and Janeway thinks he can forge an alliance. That's the one to do with species 8472. Yes, that was quite a good one, but same again. It didn't. Chakotay's character just didn't jump out. To me, it always seems like a background character, something there to prop up the captain, which first officers might do, but I don't know. I just didn't find him compelling, and yes, Species 8472, and yes, the Scorpion because of the frog. That is my nature. So yes, the Borg you never trust because they'll do a deal until they get a chance to get away, and then they'll do what they need to do because they're Borg. And talking about Borg, my most disliked character of the whole thing is Seven. 7 of 9. Every time she's on the screen, literally, I don't care. I literally just want to scrape past anything she's in. No interest in her character. The character's arrogant, annoying, rude. I don't know. It's all written for her to do that, but just because she's a nice looking woman, I don't care. She is the worst character in that whole series. I don't know why people really liked her. Maybe it was because of her looks. I don't know. Didn't care enough to even bother about that. I thought she was the worst character in it. I preferred when the kids came in. They were more interesting Borgs than she was. I just found every time she was on it, it was like somebody scraping nails down a chalkboard. Every time she had an interaction with someone, every time she wanted something done, just do it because I know best. I just don't like that type of character. And even as she moved forward and became more personable, I don't know, maybe the rot had already sat in for me. I'd already disliked her, and every time she was on, I switched off. I just didn't care. I switched past her. And believe it or not, the one instead they kept the I'm on the one where she just got the operation, the one that Icheb gave her the node to allow her to live, and I think that even that being one of the better ones for Seven, it just every time she was on screen, I switched off. Hi, Wend, and I've just actually said I do like Janeway's character, although there was parts in it I don't like, and I'm skipping backwards and forwards. Favourite one is Taurus, definitely. Fiery, except when she's with Paris, and I just didn't like the Paris aspect of it. Another one I thought was going to be a good character was Ensign Kim, and he just became annoying. The innocent who never seemed to grow up, and he just seemed to be, I don't know, it wasn't a moan, it was more of an annoying character. Just a case of he just never seemed to, he always wanted to please everybody, and maybe that too pleasing, just trying to get in there with everybody, just didn't come across well. And it's another one when he's on, my mind wanders. The next one is the Doctor. To me, the best character. An annoying character, yes, but I think the way, and maybe because I like Picardo, so maybe I had a wee bit of thingy, but the character starts off as annoying, but not in the same grating annoying way. It's just a learning annoying. This is how he is, and he has to relearn. Unlike the Seven, his character got less annoying, whereas to me, Seven's character got more annoying. And just the silly things that happened with the Doctor, always trying to improve himself. Maybe it's the fact that we're all trying to improve ourselves, whereas some characters seem to be, I don't need to improve myself because I'm perfect. I wonder who I'm talking about. Anyway, two characters I had major issues with were Kes and Neelix. The Neelix character was just too annoying. However, I got put off the Neelix character from right at the beginning, and I think it's because of the Kes character. Yes, the Akompa basically lived for 9 years, so it's a different thing, but I'm sure there was one episode where she was going through puberty, and before that, they were all talking about being in a relationship. So even at 2 year old, which if you take 1 year for them is like 10 years, which means she was 1.5 to 2 years old. So she was basically anywhere between 15 and 20 in human terms. I don't know. And the fact is, at one point they talked about her going through the puberty and to me that was just creepy. So the whole Neelix's character was ruined for me from day one. I think he's the funniest character. He's got the most humour, but every time he was on, even after the Kess character left, I don't know, it just stuck in my mind that creepy guy, don't care enough about him. And truthfully, when Kess left, I found it more interesting. Didn't like her character at all, and it wasn't to do with the fact as the way it was written. It was just, I think whoever wrote it had a good idea, but I think they wrote it in such a way that it was creepy. So I didn't like the Neelix one. Another one I do like, although he's definitely not my top three, was Tuvok. And I think it's because he seemed to play it quite well as the Vulcan. The only other Tuvok I liked was the one where the two con men, or the con man and con woman, were pretending to be Janeway and Tuvok. I thought the imposter Tuvok was funny, trying to be serious like Tuvok. I just thought that was hilariously funny. He was taking his part so seriously. He was trying to act like Tuvok, but it's like a cosplayer trying to act like it, and I found that humorous. Tuvok's character, I think, had a bit more depth, and the fact is they had a couple, one with the Tuvik's character and the one where he had the disorder which made him childlike, which he seemed to lost the, was it Sundays, the one with the joke about the puzzle, it was riddles or puzzles, that one where he was shown to be more emotional and childlike, I thought were better ones. I can't think of it. In Tom Paris, the cocky flyboy, which the only things I liked about him was the Captain Proton, and I suppose I was jealous because Balana Torres, but I thought his character had a better arc throughout, from being the bad boy to try to fitting in with the crew. Same again, very narcissistic to the point where he would ignore people if it was something he was interested in, like flying or a new ship or the holodeck with the old programs, the cartoons and stuff like that. I can appreciate that because I'm very childish with it comes to that. I would sit and ignore things if there's a good program on, so I would do that. But I think he had a better arc throughout it. So why do I like a program which I really enjoy rewatching if I don't like a majority of the characters? And I think it comes back to what I said about not liking any of the new stuff at all, is because the stories were compelling. Even when you've got characters which you find rude, obnoxious, or bland and boring, or narcissistic, there were compelling stories around them, so you could forgive it. There's aspects of it you might actually turn around and go, and Sudoku 24, it is exactly it. It is comfort food. It is something you could sit and watch. Like, before I started watching all 7 seasons, the couple of days beforehand, I just picked random episodes from different seasons, and I just thought, rewatching from the beginning again. And I think it is because, as you said, it's comfort. It's something that can drag you in, You don't need to pay too much attention if you just want to enjoy it, or if you want to pay attention, there's a lot of nuances to it, but the story is compelling. Even some of the stories which I found were less interesting, and I don't know why. I do like the Borg, but see, as soon as the Borg Queen appears, don't care, don't like it, because I like the idea of a, a, a hive mind, but just because the Queen Bee, they had to have a Borg Queen. I didn't like the Borg Queen. To me, the hive mind was a better idea. I suppose it's like the Cybermen from Doctor Who. To me, it would have been an increased Cybermen if they would have actually gone down the Cybermen down the way the Borg would. That would have been actually a better way of doing it. But I think because there wasn't, yes, they had the cyber controller and stuff like that. You could have a Borg controller on each ship, and that's the focal point for the hive. However, the idea that they had a Borg Queen, so anytime the Borg Queen was in it, I didn't really care. And even the Endgame, I liked the Janeway character in Endgame, how she ended up, goes back in time to save her crew at the risk of her own life, and did anything she could to destroy the Queen. But I didn't have any bother accepting the Queen's just going to get fall apart and killed. You know what it's like. You get a good antagonist, a good protagonist, and they could have a good chemistry together to fight against each other, and it could be interesting. Whereas because the Queen, I didn't like it. I think the Queen just didn't hold my attention enough to actually have that, the end game having a lasting effect. And I think the fact that the stories are compelling, each of the characters, even the ones I didn't like, were compelling. And Endgame, you think it would have been better if they stuck to the premise of old Janeway coming to terms with being home and mourning those who made it. But that's very like, to me, was the Harry Kim and Chakotay making it home, and they spent all the time to look for the Voyager just to get the node so they could resend a message to save everybody and changing it. It's typical time travel ones. When they time travel, they're always weird, because they always do something, as they said, as Janeway I suppose said, was when it comes to time travel, don't think about it because it'll give you a headache. And Seven, yes, I can imagine she was brought in for the ratings, and as I said, just because she was gorgeous looking doesn't make it any less annoying. I think she became more annoying, and they assumed that just because she was nice looking, she could get away with it, and unfortunately she couldn't. And the Borg, definitely, the Borg were far superior when they were just a hive, because they were unstoppable. You will be assimilated, resistance is futile. Now resistance is futile unless the Queen wants you to do something, and then you do what she wants, or we'll destroy all the thing because one person's out of sync. The Queen was too emotional for the Borg. It tried to imply that she was the hive mind, but she got very emotional about things. And the way they did the Borg on TNG, the way they did the Borg was a lot better. But same again, when they tried to bring the Borg in and give it a bit more emotion, like the Locutus of Borg, to me that was to manipulate the emotion of the viewer. And when you're watching the Borg, you don't want your emotions manipulated. You wanted to actually see the Borg as this unstoppable machine that you had to work your way around it. And as when you're saying your resistance is hopeless, number one, I actually prefer the one from Voyager, It's the most recent one I watched was the one when Icheb tries to give Seven his his cortex, the mind thingy my bob, and they said persistence is futile, which I thought was a slightly nice twist on resistance is futile. And I actually met Robert Picardo at the MCM Comic Con a few years back. Me and my daughter went, and she was a case of pushing me aside, so I had to stand at his back while she stood when he stood side on, and he had a Doctor Who shirt on saying, "You always remember your first Doctor." I don't know if he understood what it was referring to, but because he played the Doctor, and he's a very nice guy that he's very walking backwards and forwards. He was smiling at people, waving to them, even chatting to people as he was walking past, going to the stage or go to sign autographs or go to get pictures done. He was definitely, he's a pleasant guy who appreciates fans and he actually enjoys talking to fans, and I think it comes across. There is a lot of fans have said the same about a lot of different people. There's one or two I've met. I'm glad I didn't get their autograph because it was almost a case of, oh really, sign, go away, that type of thing. I like having a chat. When I've been to Comic Cons, I've dressed up as Judge Red, dressed up as the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. I've dressed up as Rimmer from Red Dwarf, and the way I see the people who I'm talking to is, yes, they are actors and we're queuing up to see them, but if they look as if they're uninterested in you and they're only there just to sign a piece of paper, get some money and bye bye, they're not interested, I just go. I don't know. I prefer, the nicest person I've ever met is Katie Manning. She's gorgeous. She's so nice. She's so welcoming. Even after going to get the picture, going to get the autograph, she would come up and talk to everybody. She would come out, and if somebody wanted a picture, come round, give them a cuddle, and sit back down. To the point where the staff at the Comic Con were asking her not to do it so they could get more people through. But no, she was interested in speaking to fans. To me, that's the star you want to. I know, and I'm digressing. I'm away from Voyager, but I'm a rambler. What can I say? I could talk about anything, and I'm glad when Wendology is actually saying don't get me started in Kess. I didn't like Kess. I thought, as I said about the freaky relationship, but I think because of that, it made me dislike the Neelix character. And although I did find him the funniest character, it was still in the back of my mind. That stuck there with him and the Kess, and I don't know. And I suppose to some extent the Tom Paris one as well. There was the one with the Kess doing the going back through time, and then you've got Tom Paris marrying Kess and Harry Kim marrying his daughter. That whole one I don't like. It's basically that one. I literally, as soon as it started, I skipped through it. Didn't even watch 5 minutes of it. I just skipped through the whole thing. Um, Sudoku, you said you would have changed. The only thing you have changed about Voyager, I've had them get home about 2 seasons sooner. They came to the point. Happy ending was just a delay. Aye, but we knew they were going to get home. But you look at some of these programs. If it had been cut in season 5 and they hadn't got home, they would have left it as a cliffhanger. Did they ever get home? I think the fact that they knew when it was going to finish so they could end it, and that was it, they got home. You could take a couple of episodes out of every season and make it shorter and cut down, but then again, season 7 did have a couple of good ones. So let's have a look, see what was on season 7. Like, for instance, Drive. I quite enjoyed Drive. That was the one, was the race with the Warren factions. That was just a single episodic one. It wasn't tied into anything else. It was just a nice, something you could watch out of sync with any of the other episodes, because you didn't need to know anything apart from the bit with B'Elanna and Tom, the marriage proposal. That was an interesting one, and that was in season 7. And even the collective, the one about the Borg, was that the one about the Borg cube it had destroyed, and the group were a collective on the planet, and they weren't the Borg collective, they were the new cooperative. I found that quite an interesting one, because it was Borg against Borg, but they did the same with the one with the 3 Borg, who were part of Seven's group. And the fact that they were part of Seven's group and they were the only 4 that seemed to have that issue, but for some reason, although Seven reassimilated them, caused the 3 then to be a subsection of her group, yet she wasn't in it. I just found weird. And definitely Drive is episode 3 of season 7. Drive. It was about the race. It was definitely one I quite enjoyed, even though there was the romantic sub. Unity was the one with the cooperative, was it? Aye, that's the one, Unity. I think the one I'm thinking of, Collective, was the one with the 3 Borg. Because Unity was the one about the planet, and that was the Chakotay, was it? Chakotay had crashed, and he had to convince Janeway that to help them. Or was it because they took over 7 to help them get it there? But was it not Chakotay? It was down on that planet. Unimatrix Zero. See, every time I think of Unimatrix Zero, I think about the one where that's the episode 26 of season 6 and 1. Unimatrix Zero was the one about they had an alternate life. There was the Borg life, and then how they were when they weren't assimilated. So when they went into regeneration, they had a second life. Seven and 9, tertiary adjunct of the Unimatrix 01. Yep. And they were 3, 4, and 5 of 9 from Unimatrix 01. And that was that collective. That was that episode. I definitely need to get the full set on DVD. I got a majority of them on DVD, and I've got some of them on, is it Amazon? I've got a lot of them saved from wherever they were on, and I've downloaded them to the box. But I am working through purchasing all the stuff on DVD, because physical media is the way to go. What the next set of physical media I plan to rewatch, which I am wanting to get some guests on to discuss, is going through Red Dwarf. Do 1 season a week and just discuss Red Dwarf. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because it is something I want to do. I want to get someone on and discuss Red Dwarf. Even get a group on, and just the 3 of us, 4 of us, just sit and talk season by season Red Dwarf. how it started from season 1 with just the 4 of them, with Rimmer, Lister, Cat, and Holly, right through until Crichton had joined them, and then when Crichton came back, Robert Llewellyn's Crichton, and then even through to when Kachansky came on, and Holly changed to Hilly. That's what I plan to do. Red Dwarf, I've got them right up. I've got them all. I've even, believe it or not, somewhere in here, I've got some Smeg Up videotapes. I've had Red Dwarf that long. I've got them on videotape. I've had to repurchase them, but I'm just trying to think where they would be. But they're sitting there. I've got the Smeg Ups in season 1 on videotape. That's how old my collection is for Red Dwarf. The Kachansky, I preferred the Claire Grogan Kachansky. I was not as keen on the Kachansky, the Chloe Annette Kachansky. She's a lovely woman. I've met her and chatted about it. She was brought in because they wanted to sell it to the American market, so they needed a woman in it, and that was the only reason they brought Kachansky back. And I think it failed, and that's why she didn't last too long, and that's why they dropped her again and went back to the boys from the Dwarf, because it worked better. I definitely want to do a Red Dwarf watch along, or just basically review along. Basically have a season at a time to do, and every week or every 2 weeks just to go on and discuss it, because it's been a while since me and a couple of my friends got together and just gabbed about Red Dwarf. I've met most of the cast. There's 2 of them I still want to meet, and it's because they've not been up to Scotland, and that's Craig Charles and Danny John Jules. Although I am extremely lucky, if you look at my playlist, there is a Danny John Jules video in there wishing me a happy birthday, and he takes the piss out of me, which is funny, because I like Dungeons and Dragons, I like Magic, I like Doctor Who, and he basically just took all those and put them all out of sequence and talked about sitting in my dungeon watching Dragon's Den. It was just funny. He was taking the mickey right out of me. So Danny and Craig are the only 2 I've got to meet. I've met Robert, I've met Chris, I've met Norman Lovett, I've met Chloe Annette, I've met Hattie Hatred. I can never remember her name. Sorry, just because I just saw that, I'm as cute as a Borg. Saying nothing. I have got a picture somewhere of my brother-in-law and the 2 kids, one of them in the pram, all done up as Borgs for a Comic-Con. That is cute as a Borg when he's got his 1-year-old in the pram with the Borg stuff around it, and that's fun. I would like to discuss these things. I like to discuss Red Dwarf, Jonathan Creek. I've got some weird and wonderful stuff. Like, for instance, Marx Brothers. Got every Marx Brothers Carry On film, St Trinian's, Will Hay, George, and that's on that one shelf. I'm a big Laurel and Hardy fan. I'm a son of the desert, and I've got every one of their movies. Want to discuss Laurel and Hardy with people, so anything you want to discuss, drop me a line, leave a comment, and I will look at getting you on to discuss it. You've had an autograph disappointment experience with Maria Cyrus many years ago. That I'm not surprised at, considering some of the things I've heard. I just find that unsurprising. The worst one I had the experience was with Billy Piper. I was contemplating, because I was in and I was Sylvester McCoy, I was getting the autograph, and I saw a couple of people walking away, kids almost in tears, He went up to talk to her and she literally just blew him off. It was almost a case of, there's your autograph right next. I didn't actually see it, I just heard what they were talking about as they were walking past. I've seen some people with disappointing experience. I must admit, I've never had a disappointing experience with the ones I went to see. Some of them are so busy they can't really chat a lot, like Christopher Judd from Stargate Teal'c. His queue was so massive that they asked you only to spend a minute talking to him. And even in that minute, I just basically told him he had to asked him to sign the autograph to my daughter because I nicked her last autograph I got signed for her. And he basically said to not me. And he basically implied that this was specifically for her to make sure I didn't steal it. And one of my other daughters wanted me to get, what do you call him? He played Spike in Buffy. Matheson? James Matheson, I think it is. And same again, the queue was all the way out the door for him, but he was still chatty as he was signing and talking to you. You were only there for a minute, but he was still quite pleasant, realised that everybody had to get their time, and he apologised and just signed, chatted to you, handed you your autograph and said thank you, and you went on the way. I got it for one of my other daughters. Oh, when you're saying you just started watching Red Dwarf from episode 1, really enjoying it. When? James Masters, that's the one. But when did you start? When did you start watching Red Dwarf from season 1 or episode 1? Because I plan to do it in a couple of weeks, but I could bring it forward if I need to. I've got Sarah Jane and Batman 66 to watch this week, and then I'm actually about to restart Red Dwarf from episode 1. So if yous are already there, I might skip a couple of seasons and actually watch along with yous. If yous are doing a watch along, let us know. Anyway, anything else you think I should be covering, please let me know. I'm open to criticism, I'm open to suggestions. Unlike some, I'm not full of myself and I'm open to criticism, yes, but if you wish me to cover anything, let me know. I'm more than happy to actually dig out some stuff. I've got a large collection of DVDs and a lot of my stuff goes from 1940s right through. Even with the new Godzilla versus Kong, I've got all the classic Godzilla movies to sit and watch. Some of them are actually subtitled, which is okay because I don't really care about the people in it. It's all the monsters I care about. So I've got all the Godzilla ones. I've got the King Kong. My earliest one of King Kong was, my mum used to tell everybody, I used to cry when I saw King Kong getting killed. Yes, I was that child at 5 crying because of King Kong. And I still remember it. It shows you how I loved the King Kong character. And I do love the Godzilla character. I love it that much. I've got one sitting here ready to go. I do like my stuff, and my collections sort of show that. Big Judge Dredd fan. You name it, I've probably seen it, watched it, and enjoyed it. There's one or two things I've found out I haven't seen, or I haven't seen again. Like somebody had mentioned Doomwatch. I'd only seen it once, and you're talking about probably when it was shown initially in the 70s. So I haven't seen it since. I recognise what he was talking about it, but I can honestly say in the last 30 years I've probably not seen it again. I need to actually finish up now. I only planned an hour for this, and yes, I know I messed up with the start stop, and I think I'll need to watch out for that next time, so I don't mess around. I just wanted to say thank you everybody who's subscribed and watched my videos, and yes, I do know I could be a bit of a rambler. I can be stomp start. I can trip myself up. I am aware of that. And when I'm talking to myself, I'm terrible about it because I'll repeat myself. I'll skip things because I think I've already discussed it and I'll skip ahead of it. STV, certain stories getting old. See, when you said Star Trek Voyager, I just remembered because living in Scotland, Scottish television, STV was where I watched all my programmes. Channel 3 or STV, which I used to watch. It's just that it sort of distracted me when you were talking about old programmes. It's Voyager, I've enjoyed. I still would like to know why I enjoy it so much, considering I don't like most of the characters. And the ones I do like, I do find fault in them. But I found that I can enjoy something even if I can find fault in the characters. It's the mighty, I can find fault in every Dalek episode that's around for Doctor Who, and I still love the Daleks as my favourite monsters. But I digress. I'm going to finish up there, and remember, join us tomorrow for Daniel's. I'm going to be join me on Tuesday for Daniel's live stream. I'm going to be on there, and I'm sure Daniel will get me gabbing a load of rubbish again, because I do ramble a bit. And I suppose when I'm rambling, as Daniel says, he rants occasionally. I'm usually there to actually counter it by rambling a load of rubbish. So, thank you very much for joining us, and give it a thumbs up if you liked what you saw, and remember, I'm not old, I'm classic. PJ may be out, and I'll see you all on Tuesday. And stream end if I can find my mouse.